Hello everyone, I'm here today to bring you a video regarding a surgery known as a hemorrhoidectomy. It's not a pleasant one to discuss, and it's one I've recently gone through. I'm on my third week of recovery, and well, I figured I'd make a video here to kind of give you some background info, some tips, some tricks, and some advice on how to go ahead and survive this thing. The reason why I'm making this video is plain and simple. It's a very painful procedure. The recovery is a lengthy one, and if you look online, there's a good deal of information, but it's scattered around on different articles and videos. I myself have endured a rather serious version of the surgery. In total, I had 2 external and 1 internal hemorrhoids excised with a scalpel, and I had 2 internal banded. This video will be useful for those who are thinking of getting the surgery done, those who already have scheduled the surgery, and people who maybe have got the surgery done and are looking to commiserate, which is possible, and also to people who maybe want some extra tips as they recover. In the end, I think I managed this surgery pretty well. I ended with manageable pain and no skin tags, which I know some people have complained about getting skin tags. So maybe something I did prevented that, and if you want to follow my advice, you may see the same results. Okay, so my background. I've suffered with hemorrhoids probably for about 10 years. It started as a weightlifting injury, and it wasn't so bad in the beginning, but it did get worse over time. And then I had another surgery, and I had a bout of constipation due to the pain medication, and that made it about 10 times worse. That was about 4 years ago. It began prolapsing, and I'd have to push it back in. It's gross to talk about, but that's what this video is kind of about, so I hope you're not squeamish at this point. Starting a couple years ago, I decided I probably needed to get it looked at. They had gotten so bad that I could no longer push it in without the help of like sitting in a chair and pushing really hard. It was pretty bad. Just to give you an idea, the hemorrhoids externally would be completely swollen all the way around, and internally would also be prolapsing, so it was just not a fun time. And again, I was using things like creams, and I tried everything. It didn't work. So at that point, I went to my general doctor and asked for a referral. This would be things that if you're thinking about getting the surgery done, you'd probably want to use these little nuggets of advice. I went to my general doctor and I told him about my problem. He advised me and gave me a referral to see another doctor, which was a gastrointestinal doctor, I believe, which I was happy with. I didn't want to get the surgery done, and the gastrointestinal doctors, they generally do just bandings. So I went there and I got a total of 4 bandings done, and it did not help me. And the last one actually made things worse. Now, I think that's an anomaly. The bandings usually help you unless you're too far gone. I know there's different grades of hemorrhoids, 1 through 4. If you have a grade 3 or grade 4, I believe where it's prolapsing pretty heavy, it's probably not going to work too well. But try it first. It's virtually painless. You're probably looking at 24 hours of some pain and discomfort. 2 Tylenol should take care of that throughout the day. However, if you have an option, I would recommend seeing a colon-rectal surgeon for the bandings. The reason why is the gastrointestinal doctor I went to, I don't know if it's the case for all of them, but they don't actually band the hemorrhoids themselves. They band above it, and they try to cut the blood supply to it. Whereas a colon-rectal surgeon will just band the hemorrhoid and kill it, which I think is much more effective. Especially now, now that I've had this procedure done by this surgeon, I feel so much better, and I never felt this kind of relief from the gastrointestinal. So if you can go see a colon-rectal surgeon, make that a priority. Another thing is, if you are planning to have the surgery done and you get advised to see a general surgeon, I would definitely go find a colon-rectal surgeon as a second opinion. And to be honest, I don't think even a 4-hour drive is unreasonable. In my case, I drove 3 hours to see the surgeon, and I am 100% glad I did, because compared to my general surgeon, this guy knew his stuff, and he looked at me and he said, okay, we need to get these removed. Whereas the general surgeon just told me to eat more fiber. So, I would definitely recommend finding that colorectal surgeon in your area, or even a little bit out of your area. It's going to be worth it if you're getting the surgery done. You don't want to get it done twice. Alright, let's talk about surgery prep. So you've decided to get the surgery done. Things you need to be on the lookout for is how to take care of your time off. In America, you can use something called FMLA, and that gives you the ability to take up to 12 weeks off, I believe, federally, and depending on the state, you can do some other stuff. I took about 4 weeks off for this. That's kind of excessive, but I knew I was going to get a serious surgery. Just so I could put things in perspective, I'm a day after 3 weeks of recovery, and I still have discomfort sitting down, and I'm still having to take baths, which we'll get into the baths later. So definitely go on FMLA if you can. About 1 month to 2 weeks out, you need to start planning to have a family member or friend help you. That is on day of surgery. I would say 48 hours minimum. You want someone to stay the night with you for sure, because coming out of surgery, you're not going to want to do anything. In my case, I could barely walk. I waddled everywhere. It was very unpleasant. Still about a month, 2 weeks out, you want to go ahead and get a stool softener prescribed by your surgeon. In my case, I was prescribed Ducosate sodium 100 milligram. I probably butchered that, but you want to get that beforehand. And you're going to take that every day, 1 a day, 2 a day. Probably in the start, you're going to be taking 2 a day just to be safe. Another thing is start exercising if you haven't. And you can do anything like take a nice walk every night, get a jog in, ride a bike, something like that. You want to get your circulatory system ready for a little bit of trauma, because that's what this is. 2 days before surgery, what you should be doing is thinking of how to clean yourself out internally, if you know what I mean. 2 days before, start eating very light meals, smaller meals, and things that digest easily. Keep your water intake high as well. You want to make sure you can flush yourself out, because the day before, if your doctor doesn't recommend it, if you see a colorectal surgeon, he's going to recommend this most likely, but if not, you want to clear yourself out. It's that magnesium citrate stuff, 10 ounces, throw it in the fridge, drink it all, and kind of expunge your system, because you don't want to have to go to the bathroom after the procedure. Also, the night before surgery, make sure you shower and clean your bed sheets, and then the morning of, make sure you shower as well. Again, your doctor should have all this for you, but if not, you may want to take that extra step, make sure you don't get anything like an infection. Okay, let's talk quickly about surgery day. Make sure you're wearing loose clothing, and make sure you bring a pillow to sit on in the car, because you're going to be kind of sore down there, even though you're going to have the local anesthesia. In my case, like I said, I went and saw a surgeon a considerable distance away, so I had to ride 2.5 hours in the car. Bring that pillow, definitely helped me. The morning of, I'd recommend doing a fleet enema. They're called saline enemas. The reason for this is that they're very discomforting to do, but you don't want to have to go to the bathroom. It's worth any discomfort you can give yourself beforehand to stop that from happening after the surgery. Now, my doctor recommended this, so I did it, and I'm glad he did, because even with the enema, there was some stuff in there, and I got rid of it. Be sure after your surgery you urinate at the hospital, because it is a little difficult as time goes on and the swelling begins to take place. So if you can do it there, great. They may make you, in which case that's good, because you do want to make sure you can. A tip that I would recommend is taking a picture of your hemorrhoid at its worst. You can do this for the general doctor's visit, the colorectal visit beforehand, but also do it surgery day. These surgeons see a lot of people, so showing them a picture of what they're going to be fixing beforehand is helpful. Another thing is, make sure you take your pain meds before you leave the hospital, because you do not want to let the pain get out of control. Okay, now going into what you should be buying for your surgery recovery. If you can only get one of these things, which I hope you can get a little bit more, but if you can only get one, I would highly recommend you purchase a portable bidet. In America, we do not have bidets, generally. I know I don't. So buying this has been instrumental in making sure I don't have to wipe. And if you have to get just one or two things, make sure this is one of them. You can get them for $10 online. I found this one on Amazon.com. It's gonna help you. You're not really supposed to wipe. I think the doctor will tell you not to wipe. So that's what you do. You fill it up, I think, twice with warm water is probably all you need, and empty it, clean that area, go back and forth with it, you're done. Another thing that you'll need to be buying, because your wound will be bleeding and it'll also be leaking mucus, are gauze pads. You can get these guys here at Walgreens. They come in little packs. Again, this is just a necessity. I'm sure the hospital will give you some. However, buy some extra, you're gonna need them. Another thing, and this is preference really, but for me it's really helped, are those toilet stools that help you keep your legs up when you're having a bowel movement. It obviously didn't bring it out with me, but that will make your bowel movements easier. Again, you can use anything around the house for that, or you can go online. Amazon had them. You're looking at $20 to $50. Another thing most people already own, but that would be a hair dryer, and the hair dryer must have a cool setting. The reason for that is because you're going to be using it on your wound after baths. You don't want to touch the wound with, definitely not with toilet paper that can tear itself up and remain there in a wound. You don't want to towel dry it or anything like that. Even patting it is probably a bad idea at first. So the hair dryer is going to be pretty important, and you're going to need that. Okay, next thing I would recommend buying are these little moist towel wipes. They're flushable, and Cottonelle makes this one. There's other brands. I don't know the cost, but you can find them at your local pharmacy, and you can also find them online. Currently, in my case, I still use the portable bidet, but now I'm using the flushable wipe at the end just to help clean. I think I could probably use it more so for the entire thing, but again, sorry for the too much information here, but if you're with me this far, you're maybe in the same boat. So hopefully this is helping. The last thing, and this is pretty important, if you do not own a bathtub, you want to buy a sitz bath. I don't know how much they cost, probably like $30, $40. You put them on top of your toilet. I do have a bathtub, so I didn't purchase one. But if you don't have a bathtub, you just have a standing shower, buy a sitz bath. 100% you'll need it. All right, going into your diet. You should be planning this before your surgery and going to the store and buying things that you need before your surgery. You're not going to be able to leave, so definitely make a list and kind of plan out how you're going to be tackling this. The very first thing I'm going to say is you need to buy a lot of water. If you aren't a faucet drinker, I'm not. My pipes here make the water taste like dirt. And I don't know if you live in America, but we do have an issue with our water a little bit in certain areas. So in my case, I bought 7 of those packages of water. They come in 24 packs, and they're 16 ounces. 5 a day, every day for at least 2 weeks. This will make a huge difference in your recovery, and it'll basically stop constipation in its tracks, which is very important. Right, so again, buy your water beforehand because they're pretty heavy and you're not allowed to lift heavy things for a couple weeks after your surgery. Something that I found was that due to the pain medication, I was kind of hazy mentally and I lost track of my waters, or what number water I was on. So I labeled the caps and reused them. This is number 4. I'm still drinking 5 a day even though I'm 3 weeks out, because it really does help when you do have to go to the bathroom. Another thing regarding your diet is your stool softeners. The very first few days, you might want to go to 2 stool softeners a day. I was on 1 mostly, and that was because my first tip for your diet is, if you can, stick to a clear liquid diet for 2 to 3 days. after surgery. If you're cleaning yourself out with that magnesium citrate drink, you're going to be on a clear liquid diet for a couple days before surgery, probably the day before and then the day of. I would still recommend 2 to 3 if you can manage it afterward as well. That's sports drinks, water, broth, tea, and juices only. The reason for that is you do not want to have a bowel movement. I can tell you right now, you will be so glad that you did this, even if there's a little bit of suffering from being hungry, because the pain from a bowel movement when your wounds down there are so fresh is it's bad. 2 to 3 days after surgery, clear liquid diet, you're gonna lose some weight. Maybe that's a plus for some people. I had the weight to lose, so I was fine with it. After 2 to 3 days, I would go to a full liquid diet. And a full liquid diet is different than a clear liquid diet. Full liquid diet will allow you to eat cream soups. You could eat like a chicken noodle soup, stuff like that. There's those boosts. They have protein in them. They're high calorie. Drink that. Don't really recommend dairy because that can add to constipation. But you could do like a little ice cream. You could do yogurt. You could do pudding. Just nothing too solid. If you're gonna have vegetables, make sure they're well cooked and mushy almost. Also saltine crackers. Just to give you an example, a meal for me after my clear liquid diet was over was cream of chicken soup, like half a cup, 2 saltine crackers, and apple juice. I think I went until 4 to 5 days. It might have been 5 days before I had my first bowel movement, and it was not very solid, and it didn't hurt that bad because of that. So I can tell you right now, especially if you're getting a serious surgery like I did done, follow this liquid diet for a while. After my first bowel movement, I still stayed mostly on a full liquid diet. I did add some solid foods around day 5, day 6. I still eat light now, and I would recommend you eat light for about 4 weeks. But I'm off the full liquid diet. I can eat basically whatever, however you want to keep your fiber high after your first bowel movement. So have like oatmeal, that kind of stuff, bran, that kind of thing. Again, I cannot stress enough, you want to eat light. You do not want to have a large bowel movement at all, and you do not want to strain, which the larger it is, the more straining that can happen. So keep your water intake high, keep to a liquid diet as long as you can stand it, and you'll be happy. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and get into pain management. As you know and read, I'm sure online, and I can attest, this can be a very painful surgery. So there are a few ways you can mitigate this. First, keep on your pain medication. If it says take it every 4 hours, you want to take it every 4 hours on the dot. After a few days, it does subside enough to where you could stretch it out, and I would recommend trying that if you can because of the risk of constipation. But in the beginning, you definitely want to be on the clock right when you get home from surgery. Take your pain medication. In my case, the pain medication they gave me wasn't enough, and I had considerable pain. So I called my doctor's office and the hospital that I went to get the surgery at, and they doubled my pain medication. So if that's the case for you, don't be afraid to give a call because it may just be you're not taking enough pain meds. Another thing is that the bathtub or sitz bath is going to be your best friend. Anytime you have any pain, you can just hop in that tub. Keep the water as hot as you can stand. Don't burn yourself. But keep the wound area flush with hot water in there. You can sit Indian style, that kind of thing. I spent hours at a time in the tub, 4 to 5 hours a day. I watched plenty of Netflix, YouTube. My doctor said there is no limit. You can be in there as long as you want. Try to get out and dry, for maybe 30 minutes to an hour afterwards, but you can get back in. So I did, and again, my pain was very manageable because of that, and no skin tags. I don't know if that's related, but I was in that bathtub a lot. And let me tell you, that could be the number one tip I give you, is use that bathtub to its maximum potential. One thing to watch out for with the surgery is muscle spasms. Depending on how you have received your surgery, if it's internal like mine, where I had some removed with a scalpel, your muscle will spasm and clench, and it is very, very painful. And the only way I was able to mitigate that pain was by being in the bathtub. So keep that in mind. If you're having muscle spasms, you may have to go in the bathtub. Also, in my case, I couldn't sleep because of these muscle spasms. So I was able to sleep in the bathtub. I had, obviously I didn't fill the bathtub all the way to the top because that would be kind of dangerous, but you can keep it just above that line so it's on your wound. And then I just put like a plank and fell asleep. That was the only way I could for the first day. So you do what you gotta do. Another area where the bathtub is going to be very useful is in bowel movements. So when you know you have to go to the bathroom, start filling that tub up with hot water, have your bowel movement, and then clean yourself up with things like the portable bidet, or when it's time, the moist towel, and then just hop in the bathtub, because it's going to be sore for the first 5 or 6 times. That bathtub is going to make a huge, huge difference. You can expect some trouble urinating after the surgery for the first couple days. I wouldn't freak out immediately. There's a couple ways you can go about fixing this. For me, it took 24 to 48 hours before I could actually urinate on my own in the toilet, just whenever I wanted. The first 24 hours, I could not go at all. I did go to the hospital, but I could not at home. I tried in a very hot bath, which did work later down the line to help me go, but in the beginning it did not. And they say you need to go to the emergency room, get a catheter, if that's the case. I found a little trick, which if you're a guy, this will probably be more helpful. If you do a squatting position, like where you're sitting in a chair almost, but there is no chair, all of the blood is going to rush to your leg muscles and away from the surgery site, and the swelling will go way down. I did that. My legs were burning. I didn't care. I was in a lot of pain, so pain in my legs, pain in my butt didn't matter. Once I did that, the swelling went down, and I was finally able to get some relief and urinate, saving me a trip to the ER and a catheter. So keep that in mind. If you can move the blood away from the surgery site, you might find some relief. Another thing is that ice packs can also help with the swelling. So in those first few days, ice packs could be very well your best friend, as well as the bathtub. I didn't really use them that much, but I know that if you do, make sure you wrap it in something so it's not directly on your skin. Alright guys, we've reached the end of the video. I'm going to give you just some plain facts here. This surgery, like I said, is painful, and you can expect the pain for about 5 straight days. With the pain meds, it is very manageable. With the bathtub, it is extremely manageable. You will have discomfort. You probably won't be able to sit for a few days. You can lay on your stomach, you can stand, or you can be in the bathtub. Honestly, if you're living with hemorrhoids and it's impacted your life to a certain degree where you're even watching this video and you're this far into the video, it's worth it. It really is. You can expect some trouble sleeping for the first couple days. Make sure you have someone there to wake up and give you your pain meds, and make sure you have an alarm. Just make sure you're on it. You do want to manage your pain. Every single day, try to get a little bit of exercise in, whether it's 1 to 2 5-minute walks a day in the beginning. After that, I would do 3 to 4 5-minute walks a day, and try to increase that as time goes on. Circulation, again, is very important to healing. Another thing is keep your mind active. Find things to watch, buy puzzle books. Like I said earlier, grab a tablet, throw on Netflix, watch YouTube. These things get your mind off of it and makes the time go a lot quicker, especially when you're in a bathtub for 4 to 5 hours a day. Okay, and that's all I have. I'm hoping this video isn't too long, although it probably is a little bit. Just to reiterate, I am on week 3 of my recovery. I had a very serious case of hemorrhoids that were surgically removed, and I was very, very pessimistic that this could fix my issue. I can tell you right now that it absolutely did fix my issue. I do not have hemorrhoids anymore. I do not have the swelling anymore. No more prolapsing anymore. It worked. It was super effective. The main takeaways for you on this: if you're going to get the surgery, find a specialist. If you're recovering from the surgery, keep that bathtub as your friend. Drink a lot of water. Don't let yourself get constipated. Take that stool softener. And if you can, keep to a clear liquid diet at least till 4 or 5 days. And then from there, you should be on your road to recovery. If you have any questions, pop them down in the comments below. I'll try to answer them. And to those of you who are getting the surgery, good luck. It's worth it, and you can make it through it. Thanks.